Yo, welcome to another Markland Mondays. Thank y'all for joining me. This is actually the Halloween version. Now, this ain't all about, we ain't talking about ghosts and goblins. What we are talking about is trick or treat. The treat is if you have someone that lives close to you. The trick is if they don't, if they live far away. Y'all know that that's going to be a pain in the butt, or at least it potentially can be, which is why we're talking about long distance relationships tonight. I am Christopher Markland, author of these great books that you see behind me. In fact, this one over here, I was getting confused. This right here is going to be coming out soon if I can finish, writing it. Hey Michelle, what up? Stephanie, what up, cuz? Happy belated birthday to you. Thank you for joining this chat. What's happening? All right, speaking of long distance relationships, me and Stephanie are from the great island of Jamaica. You know what I'm saying? So we know about long distance. Now, true enough, I know for a fact I couldn't be with somebody back home in Jamaica, but some people are. Especially if you're from the Caribbean, just like I am. Could be a situation where you're from the Caribbean where, say that person they live a million miles away. So, okay. It's kind of crazy to think he's connecting and disconnecting. But anyway, like I said, I am author Christopher Markland. I've written these books that you see behind me. I want to say thank you for joining me. Make sure that you share the feed. Let somebody know, hey, we do this every Monday. Every Monday we have a different conversation. If you love as much as I do, hit that love icon right there. Let me know, because this is why we do what we do. Relationships are hard enough as is. I don't care whether it's long distance. I don't care if they live right around the corner. It's not easy. So that's why we're doing what, we have these conversations. That's why we talk about these things. That's why we do what we do. What up, Larry? Thanks for joining the conversation. We love, so let's get right into it. Long distance relationships. Now, they say, I look like the Great Pumpkin, don't I? Just, y'all see that? Aries, baby. Anyway, as far as they say that distance makes the heart grow fonder. Me personally, I strongly disagree with that. I mean, is it right? Sure. Oh, snap. Okay. I mean, is it right? Okay. I'm not sure what just happened. Are we still here? All right, we good. Me and technology, y'all. Woo, that's crazy. All right. You gotta love it. That's what's up. All right. Anyway, let's do this. That was really weird. Let me do this right here. All right, let's get back at it. Me personally, I could not do a long distance relationship. And you know what, Stephanie, you're right. It's not easy, and it's not easy for a whole bunch of reasons. Like, speaking personally, now they weren't really relationships, they were situationships, but I've traveled as far as Syracuse, New York in the middle of the damn winter. I went to Roanoke, Virginia. I went to Jacksonville, Florida, in what I thought was love at the time. I did it then. Personally, I could not do it now. There's just no way in the world I could travel and be in a relationship, long distance. It's hard enough being in a committed, consistent relationship with somebody that lives in the same town or even the same state. But imagine you trying to travel in order to have that relationship. Now, as we always do before the conversation actually goes live, we do a post. Michelle always does it. And next week, we're going to do it in my author Christopher Markland fan page. So make sure, please, like the page, tell your friends about it, spread the word, let them know that I'm here. I write books about love. Just a little backstory before we dig back into the conversation. All of my books are about love, relationships, specifically African American romance, but love is love no matter what color it is. So the way that I write my stories, but these conversations and everything that I'm doing is not just specifically about, loving and relationships and so forth and so on. It's about everything that we're doing when it comes to growing as couples, growing as people that are trying to better themselves. And it doesn't matter if you're in a gay relationship, straight relationship, poly relationship, whatever the case may be. Relationships are relationships, and they all require work. It's my personal opinion that work is easier when everyone is close by. However, when you're further apart, just like Stephanie says, it takes a lot of damn work. And also what it takes is a lot of trust. Trust is paramount. If you don't trust the person that you're with, I mean, ooh, that's a whole, I can't even imagine that, because imagine, just think about what you'd be going through in order to communicate, just not knowing what that person's doing, not knowing if they're being faithful, not knowing if they're, just all of those things, that would just be I can imagine going through that, which is why I personally cannot be in a long distance relationship. Now, when I joined the Army, and shout out to everyone that served, thank you for your service. I knew that when I enlisted, I could not be in a long. I knew I was not going to be in a committed relationship. I just knew that was not something I was going to do. My sister, she is still in a relationship, and her husband, he was in the military. He served in Iraq, and he was all over the world, from Korea to Germany. I mean, he was everywhere. And I saw the toll that it took on her, because it took a lot of hard work for them to make their relationship, their marriage work. And they did, and they put in the hard work. I knew personally, I couldn't do that. As much as I wanted to, I knew that, as much as I wanted to be in a relationship, that is, I knew that just was not something that would work for me. Now, think about it though. Long distance relationships are something as simple, could also be like truck drivers. I used to drive trucks, and I never was one of those cats that would go all 48 and be up in Maine and Alaska, and well, technically that's not for y'all know what I'm trying to say. Anyway, like up in Oregon or something like that. All right, I mean, if you can drive from Georgia to Alaska, you a bad, because I don't see that happening. But anyway, wait a minute. Michelle said most military dudes are whores. All right, that's kind of true, but that's not really true. It's kind of sort of true. Anyway, yes, true. A lot of dudes in the military, women too. Wait a minute, cut it out. That's another. We're gonna talk about that in a minute though. But as far as long distance relationships, military spouses, I mean, that's a long distance relationship. Pilots. Now y'all know I want my pilot's license, but being a pilot is kind of sort of a long distance relationship. You know what I'm saying? That is, it's not easy. Wait a minute. Is the truth that, God darn. So what you saying? I was in the military, whore. I was a truck driver, whore. Wait a minute, Michelle. What you trying to say? And I'm trying to get my pilot. I'm working on my pilot's license. Oh shit. I wonder if I'm a whore. I'm not a whore that much. Okay, so let's get back at it. Long distance relationships. Damn, Monique. Pilots are whores. Truck drivers are whores. What else you say? Military people are whores. What else? God darn. What else? Are authors whores? Thank you, Stephanie. Man, y'all ain't. You know what? Next Markland Mondays conversation, whores. That's what we're gonna talk about. Oh man, I can't stand y'all. Damn, you too, Alicia. Oh, where my fellas at? Come on now. Whoa, what you? Y'all ain't. I love, not. Let's keep pushing. To have any successful relationship, but especially a successful long distance relationship, you gotta have self-discipline, but you gotta have some self-pleasure too. So we're gonna talk about that in a second. All right. In fact, let's talk about it now. Technology has really helped when it comes to long distance relationships. Back in the day, remember, you'd have to make a long distance phone call. The bill be sky high. I don't even think kids nowadays even realize the struggle. You remember, we had to dial 1 just to get a long distance. And nowadays, you can FaceTime, you can use Duo, you can Skype, you can use Facebook or Instagram and make phone calls through those. You know what I'm saying? Damn, barbers are super whores. Okay, but how did Michelle just move the conversation to whores? Yeah, I can't stand y'all. But technology has really made, as far as long distance relationships, that much more palatable, because it's easier to navigate, because even though they're far away, you can pick up the phone, you can FaceTime them, you can do so many things. However, being that person is that close, you actually have the problem, and this may sound crazy though, you actually have the problem of over communicating with that person because you're not there with them. You may have a situation where you can call or FaceTime or reach out to that person so many damn times that you actually over communicate because you're overcompensating because of what's missing in the relationship. And what happens then is you run out of stuff to talk about. Think about it. Hey babe, I just got up. Hey babe, I'm eating breakfast. Hey babe, I'm driving to work. Hey, after a while it's like, okay, now what? And it's not like you're there in the same town, in the same city, so that way you can talk about things. Because say for instance, I know, like, let's say you live in Columbus, Ohio, or Dayton, Ohio, and there's an air show going on up there. I'm here in Atlanta, and it's like, okay, did you see that? It's like, no, I didn't. So all of those things, make it that much harder when you over communicate. Now, let's talk about they're not here. So in order for you to connect, it's going to take a lot of lube and lotion. You know what I'm talking about? A lot of lube and lotion and a whole bunch of batteries, as we say in Jamaica. A whole bunch of battery them. Of course, you're going to need a lot. You have to make up for lost time. You know what I'm saying? There are ways to do it. That's one of the reasons why I couldn't be in a long distance relationship. Why you say, ew, you don't use the lube on the battery. You put the battery and then I'll send you a schematic. Anyway, it's you have, because of you're not there for that person, just like Monique said in the comment section. And y'all, please make sure you hit the comment section. You gotta have a lot of phone sex. I mean, don't get me wrong, FaceTime does make it easier, but it's not the same. But you have to be intimate. Intimacy is a part of any solid relationship. Y'all know, if you don't know, my theory on a good relationship is you gotta have 4 components. I always liken it to a stool, a 3-legged stool, right? The three legs are composed of sex, communication, finances, and the base that you sit on has got to be is trust. And just like, I don't care if that person's with you or across town, sex is one of those legs. If you got a crooked leg on the stool, meaning you ain't getting the right amount of sex, things get out of kilter, and you know what I'm saying? It makes it harder. Now, like Michelle said, phone sex doesn't work for everybody. It can make it, be awkward. It can be a small machete. Lord of mercy, Jesus. She said, a machete. Whatever y'all do in your bed, Stephanie, with the machete, God, oof. The visual, it is Halloween, right? But it's just like Michelle said, if you're awkward with phone sex or something like that, how can you then have the intimate connection that comes with a having the intimacy with your partner? That's gonna be that could potentially be an issue, because I believe that you have to be intimate in order to have a good relationship. Now, intimacy is not necessarily, damn, that was graphic. Intimacy is not necessarily sex, but it is physical connection, a physical contact. If you don't have one or have that, then it's a problem, okay? What did Monique say? Phone sex takes a lot of imagination. I don't like it because it feels like I'm faking. True. That is the problem. You have to fake it. You have to use imagination why that person is not there. And if that's not something that you're used to, then that in and of itself is going to be a problem for sure. Another way that technology has also improved and helped with long distance relationships, Spirit Airlines. I know this may sound crazy, but guess what? You remember back in the day, a plane ticket could cost you an arm and a leg. Now you can jump on Spirit Airlines, and you may be cramped up. You can cancel trying to recline your seat, you may get one peanut, just one, and somebody else already done sucked the salt off of it. That's about it. It's not going to be a comfortable flight. But for $50, $75, you're able to, what used to be the cost of a Greyhound ticket, you're able to at least fly to another city in order to spend that quality time. And therefore, like Michelle said, where intimacy means more than sex, or like Monique just said in the comment section, as far as you know, being not being able to imagine well enough to get the full pleasure of sex, then you can actually fly to that city. In fact, you can fly in on Friday, do what you got to do, and be up out of there on Saturday. But that's if that's what you're looking for. Now, that brings up another question. How far would you fly, or how far would you drive? You know? And you're right, Stephanie. After a while, it's a lot of work. One of the analogies that I use with any relationship is, I liken it, you know, when I used to drive trucks, right? You got a total weight, just to give y'all a little heads up. A fully loaded, legally loaded truck is 80,000 pounds. All right, so that means that the weight of the load in the back, plus the weight of the trailer, the weight of the truck, the gross weight is 80,000 pounds. So the hardest gear on a truck is first gear, right? That gear requires so much damn fuel. It requires so much torque, so much stress is put on the engine, so much everything in order to, I'm gonna touch on that, Michelle, in order to get the weight going, in order to get you rolling. A relationship is exactly the same. It takes so much to get it going, and once you add in the hard part, which is long distance, it's gonna make it even that much harder. So like Monique said, the longest that she may be willing to travel for a relationship is 5, maybe 6 hours. We're actually on point with that, because I know for me, if I was still single, luckily I'm not, the furthest that I would travel is maybe Jacksonville, Florida, maybe New Orleans, but I'm not trying to, you know, go long distance. I had a friend of mine, she lived here in Georgia, and she was originally from Cali, so she had a relationship where she was, you know, that person was living in California. Then she had another relationship with someone, I want to say was in Texas, and you know, those were difficult relationships. We talked about that, she and I did, and it was just not an easy thing for her to do, and also to do consistently. Now, this wasn't because of the cost of travel, but more so because of just knowing that you are in a relationship like that. Man, that is a difficult thing for anybody to have to do on a consistent basis. Now, Michelle, she said, yo, I gotta fly cramped up in order for some D. Yeah. If the love is good and if the loving is better, I guess it's worth it. I think when I flew up to Syracuse, I think I might have flown Delta. It was an alright flight, and it was worth the flight. It was worth the flight, yeah. It was alright. Monique said at this point, wait for Southwest to have a sale. What they say? Want to get away? You gotta have it. But you know what? If Michelle and Monique have great points. Yes, if you want the relationship, if you want them, you know, because a lot of times I think in a chat that we always have prior to going live, one of the things that I think it was Monique, it may have been someone else, that she said that they were in the same town, and then one person had to travel for work. Or it could be a situation of, you know, maybe you're in college together, and in order for you to get started on your career, hell, you went to school, you done got $300,000 worth of student loan bills, so in order for you to now get started, you have to move to another city. So now you're college sweethearts, but before you can even get your lives started, one person has to go to, you know, wherever to travel. That kind of thing, you know, it's difficult. It is so difficult in order to get it popping. Yo, let's talk about this. Guy in the group, he in the chat, he brought up having multiple relationships, and I'm not sure if y'all are familiar with the poly lifestyle. The polyamorous lifestyle is basically where multiple partners are engaged in loving relationships. This isn't the same as, like, say, a threesome or a moresome or an orgy, or let me go to my favorite website, XXX. Anyway, that's another conversation. But with the poly lifestyles, you may have one set of partners may live here in Georgia, and then another part of, say, the triad, which I think is like when the three members of the group or whatever, that person may live out of state, then one person in the group travels back and forth. So they technically have a long distance relationship. However, they have a partner that lives in one city and a partner that lives in another city. So I don't know the dynamics of that. If anybody in the chat is familiar with that, yo, drop it in the comment section. I would love to get some more information on it. I'm going to look into it. It's not something I'm necessarily into, but as we said at the start of the chat, I love love. And if that's what love is about, and if that's what works for you, and it's an adult relationship and all parties involved are happy, run it. Make it do what it do. Make it work for you. Larry says he's never heard of it, but from what I understand, there are different types of poly relationships. I think that would be a great subject to dig into. I might very well do that one of these days. I think what I'm gonna do is, there's a person who knows that, and I'm gonna bring that person on and see if maybe we can do like a group chat type thing where that person's involved. I'm gonna dig into it and get some more information. But back to the subject at hand, as far as the poly lifestyle, like I said, one person lives in one city, one person lives in another, and like Michelle said, there are levels to it. There's a lot of with that. I think that's something that is going to take a lot of communication and a lot of hard work, and if all parties involved aren't willing to put in the work, then it's a recipe for disaster. It's a recipe for disaster. Let's see. I think we have pretty much touched on it. Yeah. So, no, Mike. Think about. Mike says that poly relationship sounds new age, and Monique says that's a poly no for me. Think about it. I mean, men have had multiple wives for a while now, a long time, and it's been successful. In fact, think about, there are other cultures, other religions where looks like we had a little pause there. There are other cultures, other religions where they have that, and like Michelle says, it does take a lot of trust. It does take a lot of hard work, and and as Michelle is hinting at in the chat, there are different types. If you have a closed relationship, an open relationship, a polyamorous, like I said, I don't know the levels, but I think it would be a great conversation, because once again, as we talk about love, as we talk about the different types of love, as we talk about all of the things that we do, it takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of hard work in order to have these relationships going. Yeah, you're right, Mike. I think it would be, or Larry, I should say, it would be an interesting conversation. But speaking of conversations, y'all, we are going to wrap this one up. Every Monday, like I said, we have these Markland Mondays conversations. Next week's conversation, like I said earlier, as far as the 4 parts of relationship: sex, communication, finances, and trust. Next week, we're going to talk about finances. You know what? Let me not say that. I don't want to lock that down. But we're going to talk about another aspect of relationships, and I think it's going to be a pretty interesting one. We're going into the holiday season, so just tune in next Monday, as I always do. Every Friday on all of my social media, follow me on Twitter, author_Chris M. Follow me on Instagram and obviously on Facebook. Tell a friend about it. What I do every Friday is I drop the topic that we're on Friday, so the topic that we're going to be talking about that Monday. So make sure you share it, let your friends know. I appreciate y'all joining me. Also, make sure you go to my YouTube channel. If, for instance, you have someone that's not on Facebook, go to my YouTube channel, Christopher Markland. All of these Markland Monday conversations are on the YouTube channel, as well as my video reviews for the TV show Ready for Love. I love love. I love love. In fact, I had hit it myself. Anyway, I love love, and if you follow that show, I do review videos every week on the show itself. So make sure you subscribe, hit like the video, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and please, y'all, tell a friend about everything that I'm doing. If you have not purchased a copy of my books, Desperately Seeking Exclusivity or Desperately Seeking Pleasure, they are both available on Amazon. So please support your boy, and I will see y'all next week. Y'all have a great week, and thank you for joining.